Square. In Union Square Park.
After a month into like, boxcar kids and like kind of drug addicts and, boxcar kids are the ones that are all like kind of, gritty and dirty, and they have a pit bull on a leash with, spike chain around the neck, those are boxcar kids. Okay. So then, we went out there and it was great. And I just said right on the spot, we should do this every day. And Uncle Lovey, bless his heart, said, I'll do it with you. He's based in India, and he kind of rearranged his schedule, and he stayed with me for 6 months. So that's how Harinam took place, not by planning, but just by divine falling into. And I think then Aindra would be very, very pleased. I consider this extension of Aindra's work. He did this in this city for 5 years, practically every day, for many hours a day. If somebody wants to use some really highly developed and faithful and Yankee ingenuity, we could resurrect such a program. Might be difficult these days with all the one-way streets, bike lanes, and parking regulations, as opposed to the way they were 40 years ago. But anyway, after Aindra got his citizenship, people would want to invite him, please come here. I don't have a passport. You get a certificate, but then you have to get a passport, which is nothing. You're a citizen. You get a passport. And he would use that as an excuse. But then Gopal, with his son Gopal, Aindra's one of Aindra's Madanga players, he would really sweeten the purse and entice him, and he even kind of got Aindra to thinking, okay, you make a tour of the United States. But I think Aindra was, and we're all here, I'm very much convinced that Aindra would come. So that's all I think I want to say.
Where's the truck?
Yankee ingenuity, please manifest.
Where's the old one?
It lasted another 4 years to 1990 and just kind of disappeared into the ISKCON New York flotsam and jetsam. Radha Krishna's in the kitchen. To get another chair for him to sit on up here.
One of my friends told me when you were saying about the astrology, he was on the steps, like outside the samadhi, and somehow he and him were talking astrology.
You should see
These two devotees, they were talking about something about astrology. And so then Aindra came by and he said, everything is just by astrology.
Then what is the
meaning of Bhavana?
What is the meaning?
What is the meaning of Patita Bhavana? Sorry.
Okay, Aindra, Rati Manjar, who else? Sunanda, did you see Aindra something? Mr. Sitaram? Yes. Okay.
What do you want to do?
I can talk after you. You go,
No, you can speak for it.
You're going to try to get out. You're already sitting.
You already sat.
I have to say. I should sit. Like a referee or something. NFL. Hare Krishna. So I'll share a few words. 2007 in the summer and I just was reflecting yesterday, so I wrote down 6 qualities of his and examples that I was inspired by that I wanted to share. So I'll try to keep it short. There's other devotees that have shared, and I definitely don't have as many experiences
as all of you.
Super grateful to hear all those stories, especially going to the 80s and 90s. So my connection with him actually kind of started here. So I grew up in New York. I was born and raised in Queens, and this is in the early 90s. And so my parents were coming to the temple here, and Ram Bhadra was the producer, right, for some of the albums.
He did an amalgamation of Vrindavan Mellows 1, 2 into two volumes.
Yes.
And he did it without Aindra's consent. With all due respect to Ram Bhadra, Aindra wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah, so, no, exactly right.
Exactly.
So, one of the benefits, though, of that, because we didn't have Spotify or YouTube in those days,
obviously,
was that the gift store
had
Vrindavan Mellows. And so my parents naturally got it. And as a kid, they would play it in the car when we'd be driving. Or anywhere. And I was always just affected by whoever. I didn't know who this person was. I thought they were like a Bengali Indian devotee chanting. They were chanting so sweetly and with so much devotion. Fast forward a few years. This is like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. VCD started coming out, and there was this VCD of the 2004 February Kirtan, Japa Madhava, that track, where you have Aindra Prabhu, Vrindavan, and Madhava playing Vrindavan. It's in February, winter, and I think it was the first time Aindra Prabhu just sitting and doing Kirtan. And for me, the quality that stood out right there, the first quality I want to just mention was his deep love for Krishna. Growing up in the movement, sort of to what Ram Prabhu was sharing, that sometimes it's on the externals, and it was the first time that I really felt. There were so many other sannyasis and wonderful devotees that was around. It was really the first time that I genuinely person that listened, really transforming my own heart and my own desire to practice bhakti. Being a teenager in the U.S. At that time, there's so many different distractions, right, that you can have, and there's no kind of reason to practice spiritual life. All of your friends are the complete opposite. And so hearing his kirtan really gave me hope that there's something here of substance. And I think I'm those people that even if, and I've heard people say this, that even if you were in one kirtan of Aindra Prabhu, it could change your life. It could change. Like someone, people have said, I was just passing through Vrindavan, and I happened to come to kirtan before Gaur Aarti, and he would sing from 6 to 7 or 6:30 to 7 or 4 to 7, etc., depending on his voice as well. And it changed your life, like that one kirtan. And so for me, that really did that. It would bring tears to my eyes. I would listen to his kirtans after the iPod video when those came out in the mid 2000s. And after school, I would listen to all his kirtans, and the albums were there, but then there was kind of the underground kirtans that the 100, 200 gigabytes of kirtans. So
I would say from the late 90s. Every single one of Aindra's kirtans were recorded.
Yes.
Somehow or another.
Incredible.
It was like I was doing when I was there. Sony the top line Sony Walkman with 90-minute cassette tapes, then to mini discs.
Yeah.
So
we're super grateful.
There's probably a lot more that hasn't been. You have like such and such year kirtans. Gorpanim, Kartik, it's not everything.
Yeah. And so those kirtans were even more ecstatic than the albums. And then the second quality I wanted to appreciate was his humility. So I can share Krishna shared, kind of how he was a nice person, but really the first time I met him, it was 2007. It was in June or July. And so I had heard him so many times, and it was kind of like pinching myself, like seeing the celebrity. but a spiritual celebrity.
But
He came in the temple room like 6:20, I think. And then after the kirtan,
we were good friends with Vrindavan, of his Mridanga players, because he was from the
States. And so after the kirtan, he introduced us to Aindra Prabhu.
And I was kind of like shaking because I was 16 years old at that time.
And meeting Aindra Prabhu, and the first thing he said to me, so he had said,
no, these boys are from New Jersey, New York, and they're big, fans of your kirtan.
And he said, how was my
kirtan?
How did you connect to it? Were you able to chant?
Were the tunes too difficult for you?
He
was actually asking for feedback,
and it really caught me off that. Someone, and I was just like, Prabhu, I've been listening to these tunes for like the last 10 years, so I'm so happy to be here.
But
the fact that he was asking for feedback from a 16-year-old kid, to me, really showed his humility.
He had no reason to do that.
The third quality I wanted to appreciate was that he was very sweet, but he's also quite intense and heavy, but for the right reasons. I find that some people are intense for the wrong reasons, right? We'll give as many examples of different abuses of power.
If you will.
But he was intense for the right
but he was intense for the right reason.
Sometimes maybe not. Prabhu might have more But I remember the first time I played Mridanga for him, I was, I think, 17 or 18, and I got past the Mridanga, and I was just ready to go for it. I practiced all this stuff, and all these dihais and hatutis and all that. And he actually yelled at me the first time I played for him, and he told me to play simply. He was like, play simply, and he just yelled at me in the kirtan, and it kind of like shook me up. And then I always kept that instruction in my mind and heart of like, you have to play to what the kirtan leader wants and needs, and that's very, very important. Not to kind of go off on your own ego. I still do that, but it's an instruction that I try to keep in mind. Let's see here. So the fourth quality I wanted to appreciate was his kindness. There was an incident where he was asked to come do a kirtan at one of my good friends, one of my best friends from childhood. He had his parents had gotten this apartment, Ananda Krishna Bhan. It's a complex near the temple, and they had some connection with Aindra Prabhu, so they asked him to come do kirtan for the housewarming. He came, led an incredible kirtan, which I'm trying to find the video of. Someone has it somewhere. But after the kirtan, they had given him some Lakshmi, the family, for coming. And generally you see people kind of just take it and be appreciative. But he was adamant that he wouldn't take Lakshmi at all, and I found that to be very genuine. The second thing, so they were asking him so many times, tell us something that we can do, for you for the service that you've done. And so he thought for some time. No. And then at a certain point he said, actually I need some oils for my deities, for shaligrams. And he gave us a store where you could go get these oils from. And so myself and my friend went to this store. It was like past Loy Bazaar. It was kind of obscure. And we got these oils. We brought them back for him. And he was just so grateful for us for us bringing this. And it was incredible. We had sort of a relationship at this time, but every time after this, we brought the oils to him. Whenever he would see us in kirtan, he would smile. He'd give us the biggest smile ever. And it was so validating to us that we could give. We did some little service, which was really, really much, but he was so grateful for that service. So really his kindness there. And then also the fifth quality I wanted to kind of share was his graciousness. We would sit in his room, talk to him about so many different things. And this is 2009 when I came for Balaram Jayanti and Janmashtami. I was there for like a month. And he would, kind of entertain us. Barack Obama had just gotten elected, and his knowledge of current events would surprise you. He knew more about U.S. politics than we did. And he was telling me about like Planet X and all these guns.
Oh really?
What was that?
What was that?
Nine. Summer of 9.
there's another Prabhupada disciple there named Keshi Domino had interest in these things, and
Yeah.
but in the spirit of like simple, divine, and
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Kind of knew of all these like different, and he was sharing kind of his realizations. So interesting. So being gracious with us, and then also one of my sweetest memories with him was going to other people's rooms when they were passing away. So many people come to obviously Vrindavan Dham to leave their body. And there's many kirtans I had gone to with him, and some of the sweetest kirtans. People are passing away, and often he would get called, and you wouldn't know if the person's going to pass away in an hour, 5 hours, a day. I remember a situation. They had called him. It was 8, 9 p.m.
Like 8, 9 p.m. And there's a few of us.
And I think it's like the MBT or somewhere close to the temple. And we went, and they were like, "This person's going to pass away immediately."
And so he let kirtan, devotee
still there, breathing
really hard, very difficult situation.
And we were he was leading kirtan for about probably 2 or 3 hours. And I was pretty
gassed at that point. So we were, it was like probably 11 or midnight. So we said, "Prabhu, you're gonna kind of head back to our room, take some rest." And then the next day, I was at, I think it was fucking Amal or something.
And I asked
how long was the kirtan? He said Aindra went for 2 more hours.
And the devotee still didn't pass away. So then Aindra Prabhu left, and then he came back in the middle of the night because the devotee was ready to leave. And so I hope the graciousness with his time and energy to be there for other devotees and other Vaishnavas in
their time of need.
In such a kind of the most dire time of death. Was absolutely incredible. Again, being called at all hours to serve them. And I remember with this devotee when he had finished the
2-3 hour kirtan,
he said to them, he asked the devotee who was passing away, he said, "Was my kirtan too loud?" And the devotee said, "No,
it's perfect." And Aindra Prabhu said, "You're a real Sankirtan warrior for being so present in this kirtan the whole time." So
anyway, those are the
qualities I wanted to share. And then just the last quality was his focus on quality.
It was very interesting.
He was so focused on his seva to Radha Shamsundar, his deities, the quality of his kirtan.
And it reminds
me of this quote that Srila Prabhupada had shared, that we don't want so many stars, we want one moon. And one moon can kind of dispel so much darkness.
And I feel that
Aindra Prabhu, please.
That's in that be pure and do needful. Kali Yuga is very dark. We need many moons.
Yeah, so I just wanted to
end with that. He was that one moon for so many of us, inspiring really the second generation. I mean, so many generations, but definitely the second, third generation. He's inspired very greatly. And one of the things I was reading in the biography of his that really
was that
one time he did say that it hurts me that people don't understand my missionary spirit. I think sometimes he got criticized.
His godbrothers or other people that, why are you sitting in Vrindavan? Go collect money, go to this temple, go to that temple, and travel the world, or be in the U.S. or whatnot. But his
missionary spirit was very much there.
No matter what, and
he sat in Vrindavan. He believed so much in the purity of Harinam Sankirtan,
and actually transformed the world from Vrindavan.
And I think that's incredible.
Very few people have
been able to do that.
I just want to end with saying he's one of my greatest inspirations and heroes. When he passed away, I was in New York, and I
remember seeing you around July 2010 here.
You were quite.
There was a
former Rupa who was here. Collecting for care for cows. And Aindra passed on a Friday. Discovered Saturday. So the very next Sunday was a Sunday feast.
Yes.
And we had a ceremony
downstairs.
In the temple. Yes, I remember Ron Brother was playing that video as well in the temple room.
Yeah.
And so anyway, just we miss him every single day. Frankly, he's one of the only reasons I'm still a devotee. And he really made Sankirtan and Kirtan feel like the Yuga Dharma, which it is, and that there's something
deep and tangible and the perfection of life in there. So he also very openly spoke about Raganuga Bhakti and really being mindful of the goal. So just wanted to thank him for all of that.
We're the chair for Subhadra. There's another.
You sit up front there? You sit up front there?
I'll sit up there.
Those are my reflections. Thank you all.
I'd like to add to that a few things. Aindra was inspirational to the junior devotees, to his contemporaries, and even to those who were somewhat and he said he helped me. There was a devotee named Sarvopama who was on the Radha traveling party, and he kind of had some rough times after he left, and Aindra totally re-enlivened him again, like that. Aindra chanting for devotees passing away. That became universally his service. Most notably, one of the most notable ones, and I was present, was the passing away of Vibhu Chaitanya. He was a Bengali devotee who perhaps the only devotee that Prabhupada said does not have to chant 16 rounds. I remember I was in the hot season, the spring and hot season of 1990, was to offer the arti to Radhashama Shaka, Rasundar, and I would, to make up the plates, and that offering is the second biggest one to Raj Bhoga, and I'd be spending like a good 30 to 40 minutes in the kitchen with all like 6 big plates, 7 plates, 6 big Prabhupada in the Samadhi, and he would just be beautiful kirtan all the time. So his japa was like non-stop chanting. Like there's a devotee bhakta avatar. His father is in very exalted consciousness. He's always chanting. His holy name is always on his public. He's always got a card, a pamphlet, or a book. Hunchback. Like externally, think, who is this? What is this? He has this shakti that just against their calculation whether they want to accept or reject somebody, and they're just kind of like frozen in abeyance and like have to cooperate with Bhakta Avatar's program.
He used to write the database website on little ripped pieces of paper, and then he would just give that out to people.
Right.
And distribute all the books.
It's like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta being given a gift of 4 pieces of knotted rope from Gorkashwar Das Babaji. Materially, they have no value, but because given by a Paramahamsa, their value is inestimable. So, there was one particular, melody
That's the face.
that Vibhu Chaitanya liked, and I believe we got there. It was something like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and Vibhuji passed away like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and Aindra was there non-stop. As an Aindra, he would like never drink water. His constitution is like pure fire, So they can drink water, just amazing. And so the rest of it was like, it was in December, so it wasn't terribly hot. And many other senior devotees there. There was Damodar Swami was present, Borijan was holding Vibhu Chaitanya's hand. They were like original founders of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. And Aindra just chanted the same tune for 10 hours.
like Andrew says in the interview, it doesn't matter whether you chant
10 tunes in 1 hour
or one tune in 10 hours.
10 hours.
You have to be chanting the pure holy. And when Vibhu Chaitanya left his body, you could just feel the whole room became like animated, and he had this smile on his face, and Aindra was ecstatic. One other very notable situation was in what we call the Pepsi building. I think it has a different name in Mahotsava College. There was an Australian girl. She was the daughter of Subungi. And anyway, I won't tell the whole terrible story. There was some like Indian boy, a young man took a fancy to her, and get out of here, but he took it like an honor, and he came and he just broke into the apartment and shot her. And there was nothing to be. I think she was in a coma for some time, but ultimately. So the whole community was completely distraught by this. All the young people. And so Aindra was called to chant. I wasn't present for this for some reason. Although I was there at the time. And when I think she was only 17 years old. When she passed away, you know, the friends, the mother, they were like. They're just distraught. They were like so crying. And Aindra, on the other hand, was just like in ecstasy, and big smile on his face. Back home, back to Godhead, you know. And Aindra's realization of that, it just like kind of plugged up the dike of this overwhelming lamentation, and actually people became happy. Realized, yeah, you're right. She's gone back home, back to Godhead. This is wonderful.
I think what's special about that is his realization of that.
So
yeah. Sometimes when people say that, it's kind of like cheap, or can feel like gaslighting a little bit. Like, oh, there's this pain, but when he's genuinely feeling that, people pick up on that.
I know how to pass away. And this is years before. It's very pathetic. The one that passed the summer in the Daven is like June before the rainy season. There's no one around. And I'd like to pass away at the foot of Govardhan Hill. The Swami had the realization that Aindra got his wish because he passed away by his deities, Govardhan Shillas, and there was nobody there. I think the person who chanted for countless devotees leaving their body, who would chant for him? But that was his private reciprocation, his beloved Lord's. And you were mentioning about Aindra would never accept money. If somebody would, people, and you're doing kirtan in the temple of Vrindavan, people rarely come up and told him to put money on the harmonium. And Aindra, one of his trusted people,